Anne, good to see
Hi,
you.
good to see you too.
So, Anne and I decided we would just have a little discussion, our primary takeaways from this past Sunday's meetup, the title of which was something about risk.
Yeah, the risk of speaking up.
There you go. This is why we are a team, because one of us usually remembers everything. Um, anyway, and maybe do you want to start off? What were your main takeaways?
Yeah, I'd love to start off. So there are a couple of things that stood out to me that I actually have been thinking about since then, and it's a few days later, we should say at this point. This meeting was on Sunday and it's Friday now. So the thing I would say, first of all, overall, these meetings are always kind of get me thinking and get me curious about a lot of different things, and it kind of reinforces for me why we're doing this. I think it really does add some value, or does help people. But overall, the thoughts that I had were about what is it really, when we get to the heart of it, what is it that we're really afraid of?
Hmm.
So why does it feel risky? So I started to think about that. And I know what the answer is for me, because I know that I'm afraid of rejection. And I think I said this in the meeting or at some point with you, maybe, just that once you know me, I don't really mind if you think I'm a little strange or weird, but by that time it's like for good reasons, hopefully. But at least at first, I want to be kind of unconditionally accepted, and cared for and loved, I guess. And the risk is the loss of that is frightening. And then as the meeting evolved, what came up with another person was that well, I think she said, I just don't care what people think.
Yes.
And while there's something appealing about that, I actually can't say that that's true for me. And when I do say it, when I feel at my most frustrated and frightened, when I say, well, I just don't care, it's for me what that, I'm not saying this is what it meant for this person, but for me, when I'm in that state of mind, what that really means is I'm too scared to feel like to be vulnerable. So I'm gonna shut down a little bit and be what I imagine is the tough, strong me. But it's not really what I'm feeling. I'm really just feeling maybe sad, or like when I feel rejected, or I interpret my, being a rejection, I might feel really sad. So I've been kind of exploring and writing a little bit about those ideas. And then for our next,
Yeah, so before you
yeah.
go on to that, let me just hop in. First of all, I look forward to hearing what you've written. Um, that didn't stay with me after the meeting, but it certainly caught my attention when that person said it, because it also does not align with my experience at all.
Mhm.
I am just not somebody who doesn't care what other people think, for good or bad. That's
Right.
just not how I'm wired. And I think what you started out by saying, that until you develop some rapport with somebody or a relationship, you are geared towards wanting people to like you and accept you, which is, guess what, how we're biologically wired.
Right. Right.
So and the same goes for me, and I think for most people, I think it's the very rare person, and again, I think you'd have to know a little bit more about what the motivation for the not caring is, to
Yeah.
say whether it's coming from a positive place, or maybe a place that maybe is less developed. And
Yeah.
we
But
would
the
have
good
to
point,
explore that.
exactly. The good point there is just that it could be from a positive place. Of course, sometimes we just need to kind of retreat into safety, and there's nothing
Correct.
wrong with that. We do need to
Yes.
kind of put that little mental armor between us and the world, or else it just hurts. It hurts too much for us to really be healthy and whole. So that could be for very good reasons. And I think I do that. But in the moment when she said that, I kind of felt like, gosh, while there's something appealing, it doesn't resonate, or it's not authentic for me to be able to say that. So that's something that did stand out.
And what was the next thing that you wanted to bring up about? You started to talk about our next.
I was thinking about that so much that one of the things I was considering for our next Zoom meeting is why do we care? Or not, for the people who don't, but like to explore that a little bit more, because when somebody was speaking about introducing or being maybe more vulnerable in a work setting, and speaking about being vegan and having that be a little bit different, and then talking about, well, what's the what's the worst that could happen, and why are we so afraid to be judged? And I just thought, well, why is it that we care? I think it is kind of it could be really interesting, and I think for me useful to kind of dig a little bit deeper with that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think based on what we've said so far, that it's a rich topic.
Yeah.
So my main takeaway, which I think in some ways may be tangential, at least to what we're talking about, or maybe one facet of it, which is when I listen to myself and other people and everybody who was at that meeting speak, and ever since I became vegan, I realize I'm in the minority, and I never really had to, I never experienced that on a deep level before, because I'm a white person in a primarily white country, and where I excuse me, where I grew up, it was primarily whites, and so I never really had to deal with that. And that was the key differential, was whether you were white or a person of color. And I feel like it has helped me to truly understand what it's like to be a minority, and whether that's where you are in terms of your religion, your skin color. Those are probably the two main ones. And so I see how challenging it is. And the other thing that, which I think goes along with what we were talking about, is being in the minority, it does feel a little bit riskier to state your truth.
Right.
Because you're not automatically in with the in group.
Right.
You're already a little bit on the outside. And so if you talk a bit about that, you're really highlighting the difference.
Right.
And so I think, at least as I was thinking about it, that is perhaps why it feels risky.
Yeah. And yes, I hear what you're saying. And I want, because this is going out in a public setting, I know this isn't how you're saying it, so I want to make it very clear and overt that we're not comparing it
correct
to the experiences of other groups who have obviously experienced much more, like, I don't know what the word is, but like, I can say that I experienced discomfort, and this is definitely worth much longer, deeper conversation, but I'm not going to say that I've experienced oppression, but maybe, maybe at some level, but not to the degree, we're not making that comparison. Exactly.
No, and maybe to be clear, it's just, and it is how I tried to state it, being in the minority.
That's it.
That's where the comparison ends.
Yes.
Nothing else in terms of treatment, but I appreciate your
yeah. And only if this was just you and me, I totally know what you meant, because we know each other very well. But I wanted to make that clear to like anybody who might be watching this. But yeah, it is. It's just feeling kind of like the outsider, feeling like
Well,
Separate.
minority, you are
Yeah.
not the group where the norms are established of
Yes,
eating meat and dairy, where that is just what's expected. And then when you come in and, oh, I don't eat that, there's a little bit of a jolt for people.
yes, it's
So,
tension. It introduces some tension there.
correct. Yeah,
And then what we do with our advocacy and what we talk about a lot is really how can we take care of ourselves so that we're prepared to do that more. And the reason being uh is that we want more people to consider being vegan, and it's hard to do that if we're not able to stretch ourselves out into that area of discomfort to be able to talk about it, or at least just be present in an authentic way where people can experience it in some way.
right. The way I wrote is take a risk just to be oneself and not remain hidden or silent.
Yes, I love that.
And
Yeah.
so just being oneself and letting somebody know this is the way I live my life when I realize it's not in the majority can feel risky, because we have learned that, in fact, I'd say more often than not, there is not a receptivity. I do have
Yeah.
many people who embrace me. They're not vegan, but they embrace me and my veganism. But I would say, again, the majority of people, that is not my experience.
Right. Right.
So,
I
anyway,
think also there's like, I was thinking about this, that we're still, so for as time goes on, and I can think about times that it was okay to make fun of people or whatever, where it's not okay to do it now, or it was okay to use certain words and it's not okay to use now. But with vegans, we're still like the group that there's no what's the word, there's no stigma or anything attached to making fun of vegans still.
well,
So
we can still be the punchline.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's, and I know, because even if you watch a television show, if there's a vegan presented in it, they're always the butt of the joke.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so we're at a different stage, I think, of you know acceptance too, than a lot of groups who've come such a long way, where it's not okay to do that anymore.
Right.
So I don't know.
But so there's that cultural shift.
Right.
And we are, as you said, we're still in a place where it's still okay to make fun of us,
It
even
is, and then
if
it's still
we
okay
don't
to
feel
say,
good.
exactly, it's still okay to say, if we do comment on that or say something about that, it still seems appropriate, not for us, but for other people, to say we're being too sensitive.
Correct.
Where
Yeah.
it wouldn't be okay, you're not allowed to make a sexual related joke at work, in the workplace. And if you do, and somebody calls you out, people are generally going to side on the person who's with the person who's calling you out. But I know when I first entered the workforce, people could do that, and if I said something, I was told I was being too sensitive.
Correct.
Why don't you just relax, smile more, you'll look pretty, that kind of thing.
There's no Me Too movement for vegans yet.
Exactly. Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
so I think we may have come up with a good idea for our next meetup, which
Yeah.
all of you will be hearing about. But unless there's anything else that you think is important,
I think we're good. I mean, we did talk about a lot of things, but that was really the main thing that stood out to me. It was an hour and a half meeting, so obviously there was more to it than that, but that is, I'm good with.
good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Anne.
Thank
See
you.
soon. Always good to talk to you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.